I have seen a couple of videos of the Aero seeder, as it was known. We actually always called them a fiddle, but I thought I'd make a short video just to share some of my experiences with one. Let's have a look at the fiddle, or my fiddle, to start with, before I show you it being used in the field. First of all, you'll have to understand that I've owned this for over 40 years, and it had seen better days when I acquired it. You can see the bag on the top which holds the seed, and you can see the spinner at the front of the fiddle. The fiddle works when seed is dropped onto the revolving spinner, which in turn distributes it over the ground with centrifugal force. The first thing that must be apparent is that the spinner on my fiddle is badly corroded, and that's because the previous owner had used it for spreading fertilizer. I'd like to replace the spinner, but of course new ones are not available nowadays. This is the original piece of bamboo cane that is part of the bow, which drives the seeding mechanism. I'm not sure if they were varnished and or polished when new. Maybe mine has become like that with use. It's about a yard long. Next we have two bobbins with a hole in each one for the end of the bow. The smaller one has a hole in the end which takes a screw, which in turn holds the twine. I should say here that fiddles originally had a leather strip about the size of a very thick bootlace, which was the means of driving the spinner, but I used plastic baler twine, and you can see me fastening one end of the twine to the small bobbin. Notice the larger bobbin which has been turned as a handpiece. It has a hole through it to take the twine or leather strip. Now to assemble the bow. Feed the cane between the two springs at either side of the fiddle below the spinner. It's time now to thread the twine round the spinner bobbin. I thread it round it twice, but the original leather strips were only threaded round once. Thread the twine through the handle bobbin, then place the bobbin on the end of the cane, check that it's located correctly, tension it, and then tie it off. Just give it a whirl to see that it's running okay, and we're ready to go. Now I'm going to try and show the on, off and agitator mechanisms inside the seed box. You can see me closing the aperture, and I'm using the handle on the side of the box to do that. A clearer view of the agitator and how it works when the bow is used to turn the spinner. Agitators are necessary in any seed sowing mechanism when sowing grass seed. The flow rate is always very low because the seed rate is usually in the range of 25 to 30 pounds of seed to the acre. Now for a look at the underside of the seed box. The corroded spinner is clearly visible, and the viewer can see how the on-off system works because the lever that is being moved is controlling the aperture. The gate with the wing nut on it controls how far the handle can be pulled back to allow seed onto the spinner. While I have never sown fertiliser with my fiddle, I have used it many times to sow slug pellets, and viewers can see the word Draza, which is a brand name of slug pellet, written on the box. And I did draw an outline round the gate on the box so that I always knew where to position it for that particular need. Slug pellets are much heavier than grass seeds, and they would spread at a greater distance. In the case of Draza, it was 7 yards, as can be seen. This meant that you walked 7 yards apart each time you went up and down the field. It was quite an effective way to spread small acreages of the product before the introduction of low ground pressure vehicles. You can see the on-off mechanism working here, and the bottom of the spinner, which needs a little drop of oil now and again. Let's take a look at the seed bag. As can be seen, mine was attacked by mice once, and I repaired it with a small piece of tarpaulin stuck on with some copy decks. Now let's have a look at the strap that holds it over the operator's shoulders. The loose end of the strap has a hook attached, and that is supposed to fit into the small eye screw in the fiddle. But I found it much easier if I attached a loop of wire to the screw and then feed the strap hook into the end of the wire. It's easier to get the hook into the wire than it was into the screw when it's over your shoulder. Let's go and sow some grass seeds. I only ever use the fiddle for areas of around 2 acres or less. More than that, and I use a tractor and spreader nowadays. The small area that can be seen here has been cultivated ready for the seeds, and I don't have to mark it out. Once up and down, and I've covered it. This next area is not an ideal seed bed, but it's quite surprising how forgiving grass seeds can be. Because this is a larger area and I'm sowing with a slight crosswind, which can be an advantage if not too strong, I'm using markers. Normally I would have flat rolled this before sowing and I would have followed the tractor wheel marks when fiddling, but the ground is a bit tender here, so I am going to sow the seed and harrow and roll afterwards as I normally do. Today I am using 4 small canes as markers, 2 of them with bits of paper stapled to them, and you can see a pair of the markers here. Notice that I'm walking towards the cane with the paper attached. When I get to the end, I pick up that cane, walk past the one without the paper that I'm going to use as a starting point on the way back, and position the one with the paper 2.5 yards past it. That will be where I walk to next time. And here I am starting back again from the bare cane. Also notice that the movement of the bow coincides with my walking. I've slowed the video down to show that the extremes of the bow movement coincide with either a right step or a left step. The seed bed wasn't ideal. If it had been rolled, it's much easier walking, and here I am at the other end of the patch. I'm walking from the bare cane, and you can just see my return cane with a piece of paper on it to the left of the digger bucket. Now I'm moving the one I walked from last time and placing it to where I'm going to walk from this time. Now I'm moving the one I worked to last time and placing it about 2.5 yards past the one I'm going to walk from this time, so that I will be walking towards it next time. I'm just emptying the fiddle out here, but notice how I keep the fiddle as level as I can, both fore and aft and left and right, for even sowing. And this is the result 41 days after the seeds were sown. And that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching.